what do you make of this news?
Well, Skip, as you sit there in your Spurs colors.
Everybody knows you got those Spurs colors.
Not intentional.
Yeah, you did. You did it.
Accidental.
No,
I didn't pick them.
Skip Bayless, you don't do anything accidentally.
Autumn picked it. Way to go, Autumn.
She actually put both of us. I got to admit, I'm in Spurs.
Way to go, Autumn.
Too.
Thank you.
On your side.
Is she like prescient? Does she have like some fortune-telling power?
I saw you tell Autumn, yes, I like that. I'll wear that tomorrow.
I didn't know Danny Green did a podcast. I had no idea.
I think
yesterday.
that's the first episode.
Yeah. And by the way, he did one with Chris Broussard not too long ago.
Yes. He didn't know at the time he had a torn groin. But,
He did not.
But first of all, Danny's a tough hombre. Give him credit for playing through a torn groin. Secondly...
Are you buying it? He had a torn groin?
Yeah, but...
Oh.
Well, look, here's the thing, Skip. He tried so hard to not criticize the Spurs, right?
Correct. Yes.
He was clearly going out of, they did the right thing. They always had done right by me. And this time they did right by you. No, they didn't. Now, I don't think it was purposeful or spiteful, but what this shows is that no matter how great the organization is, no matter how well run it is, and the Spurs are both of those, they can make mistakes.
Yes.
So Kawhi Leonard did the right thing in getting a second opinion. There's a difference, you well know, and we all know, in sports where you could play or you should play. And I think outside doctors who aren't connected to the team are going to go with should. He's really hurt. Could he get out there? Yeah, but he should not play.
Right.
Team doctors, there's just a natural inborn battle or conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying every single one of them succumbs to it, but a lot of them do, and they're paid by the team that wants the player out there. So if he can play, they're going to put him out there. Isaiah Thomas could play last year or 2 years ago for Boston in the playoffs.
He should not
could
have
play
played.
for Cleveland this year. Should not have. Ended up having surgery. We know the financial implications. He cost himself probably $120 million. This is, look at
so bad.
Kyrie Irving.
Oh.
He goes and has a second opinion with the Celtics. They say, you need surgery. The Celtics weren't talking about surgery. They weren't talking about him missing the playoffs. But he did what the outside doctor said. And I can go
time
on.
out. Did Kawhi Leonard have a knee injury or a hip injury? Like serious injury?
I don't care.
He does not.
What
No,
the injury
he does
was.
not.
It's a could
Not.
versus should.
Not.
Maybe he could have gotten out there. I don't know, but maybe he could have. But he probably should not have. Grant Hill had an ankle injury, Skip, not a hip, not a knee.
These are all joint injuries.
It ruined Grant Hill's career that Detroit and Orlando had him out there playing when he should not have. So I'm with Kawhi. I think this backs him up. We have no reason, Skip, to think that he's just a chump and he's not tough. His first 7 years, he was
on the
tough.
San Antonio Spurs. He was not. He missed a whole bunch of games with little knick-knack injuries all along the trail.
He is overly cautious, I will give you that, and always has been. But this is a sign of it.
Hold on. But you said this is the most conservative team.
It is.
You just
patient.
said Manu.
This is the most player-friendly team maybe in sports.
Okay. You just said Manu missed an average of 15 games a season.
Yeah.
You said Tim Duncan missed an average of 6. So Kawhi.
Tony Parker 11 games a year. They would just say take games off.
Okay. So the Spurs didn't tell him that.
Told who?
Kawhi. Prior to this year, just take time off.
A bunch of times.
He would miss about the same amount of time as those guys.
But the thing is, Skip, when guys go get second opinions, all I'm getting a second opinion for, take it from a guy that's gotten a second opinion, I just need him to corroborate what the first guy told me. And I hope that's the case. I hope he tells me, yes, Shannon, this is what I see on the MRI. This is what I see on the X-ray. Is healing just fine? You're still another 2 to 3 weeks away from being able to go. That's what I want to hear. But if I go to this guy and he's like, son, there's no way you should be out there. There's no way you should be doing. Now we got a problem, Skip Bayless. So now, not only do I got to get a second opinion, I got to get a third opinion because I got to make sure somebody's going to be telling me the truth. Because one guy said this, another guy said that, so I needed to be 2 to 1. So Kawhi probably went and got a third opinion. Skip, there's a difference. I'm telling, trust me when I say this, Skip. There have been times I know that I should not have played. I should not have. But I had a different mindset than a lot of the basketball players. Plus, I was taking pain-killing injections. I was taking that needle to the shoulder, to my ankle, to my backside. So I know what, to my ribs. Skip, everybody's not wired like that. You said it. Emmitt Smith wasn't taking no injections. Hey, I'm taking like vaccines. It don't make, because I got to go. But that's my mindset. I didn't knock anybody for not. I know guys on the team, man, I'm saying this one, I ain't taking no needle. Kawhi says, look, I just saw what happened to Kawhi, Isaiah. I'm about to get all my money.
So, bottom line, what Danny Green said in his premiere podcast, The Green Room, changes zero about what I think about how Kawhi Leonard quit on the San Antonio Spurs last year. And I spoke directly to a doctor who examined Kawhi Leonard and saw the pictures. There was no structural damage anywhere. No knee, no hip, no bone damage. It was strictly soft tissue in the quadriceps tendon. He took a knee to the thigh. He had some discomfort, and he missed 73 games with discomfort in your thigh. Are you kidding me? He made $19 million with a thigh bruise and missed 73 games? What? How can you guys abide that? How can you let that happen?
Because
it's so out of bounds. He wanted out. He wanted out of San Antonio, and he took this excuse to get out.
But your pain tolerance might be different than someone else's. Just because you could have played through it doesn't mean someone else could.
So, what was Danny Green from day one with Kawhi Leonard? He was his best friend on the San Antonio Spurs and his only public defender and supporter through this past year. What did he tell you on your podcast? I got the quote. He said, "We're not at odds with Kawhi. We have his back." Well, nobody was saying that except Danny Green. And Masai Ujiri made sure that Danny Green was included in this trade. And Danny Green makes $10 million next year because he knew that's my conduit to Kawhi. If I have any hope of convincing Kawhi to fall in love with Toronto and sign long-term, I need to work through Danny to Kawhi because Kawhi will listen to Danny because Danny has always had Kawhi's back. So Danny practices a little revisionist history here about his groin because he starts out the year, he pulls his hamstring and he misses some games. And you agreed with me. I think the hamstring probably led to some imbalance because he was struggling a little bit. And the groin started to go a little bit and it started to irritate him. So he said, let's get an MRI. And they saw some gray on the MRI. They said, you got a strain. Take 2 weeks off. Take a couple of weeks. He missed 5 games, and then he declared himself okay because they said it looks clean to us. They took another MRI. So he comes back and plays. This is in late January. On February 1st, he plays against James Harden. It's a long night, man, because you got to guard him a lot, Danny Green does, and he scores 22 points. Then on February 25th, he goes up to LeBron, and he guards LeBron a lot in that game, and he scores 22 points. You can't do that with a torn groin. I'm sorry, you cannot do that.
He even said he didn't know when he tore. He even, again, trying to protect the Spurs, he said, I may have torn it today. Or the day that I was examined.
I may have done it against Golden State. And
so
what happened in Game 5? It's the closeout game against Golden State. Danny Green somehow suspiciously played only 15 minutes in that game. He was playing 25 minutes in the other games, and he went 0 for 5. Is it possible it went in that game? And the next day he goes in for his exit interview and MRI, and there it's torn.
It's possible.
Okay? Let me ask you a question. Now, here's the thing. Now, when Danny Green comes on your podcast and he says there's no issue between the team and Kawhi, he's telling the truth. Danny Green says, I possibly had a tear in my groin. He's lying. So we picking and choosing when Danny Green is telling the truth.
No, well, wait a second. I'm saying he's lying about the issue.
Are you saying he doesn't have a torn groin?
He went after Adrian Wojnarowski, did Danny Green on Twitter.
But he was telling the truth then.
He said,
but he's lying now.
He said it's incorrect that we had a confrontation with Kawhi in that meeting. Well, I think they flat out had a big confrontation. Everybody else said it. Tony Parker said it.
But you said he was telling the truth. You said he shot that down.
Who shot it down?
Danny Green.
Yeah, well, he's lying about that, or he's trying to cover up the truth because he's protecting Kawhi. He's Kawhi's biggest public defender.
You admitted, and you talked to people in that organization, Kawhi from day one, from the time he was a rookie, has been cautious about injuries. And that's something that's, whether it's baffled the Spurs or upset them, frustrated them, whatever.
Yeah.
It's been the case since he was a rookie. I don't think this was any different. I think this is probably the most serious, obviously the most serious injury he had. And his nature is to be overly, cautious. And his doctors, to your point, when he went to get the second opinion, they told him it was different than what the Spurs had been telling him. That's where they felt like he was misdiagnosed. Mm-hmm. So what's he supposed to do? He's not a doctor. He just takes what these doctors have told me versus what these doctors have told me.
Unless the second opinion told him just what he wanted to hear? That's how it came across to me.
No, I want you to tell me that I'm going to be okay. But when I try to go out there and my thigh is still hurting, somebody lying.
And you know, Skip, if he wanted out of San Antonio, and I do think some of the things in the organization bothered him, you know, going back a few years,
No,
you know.
correct.
Still, why did he have to do it this way? He could have still been a free agent next year,
Ask his
even
uncle.
if he played through it.
His uncle conducted it. He
Stop,
orchestrated
Skip.
the whole thing.